Everyone thinks you need to train six packs every single day to get abs. But let me tell you something, I barely train mine and 6, 8. Now the funny thing is, most guys still think they need to do endless crunches or these silly 5-minute ab workouts, and basically I cannot blame you because I was one of these guys, right? I think I even started out working out purely doing these six-pack ab 5-minute workouts thinking that they will magically pop off. But basically, after a decade of trial and error, I did actually found out how you could turn your dad bod into six-pack abs, right? How you can basically turn this dad bod into a washboard and show up at the pool without living in the gym or doing these pointless ab exercises. And there's one thing you need to understand, and there's one thing that no one tells you. Now, fat loss, specifically fat loss around your abs, don't burn locally. Like influencers online try to always convince you that if you do an ab workout, right, or that you use this weird local muscle contraction thing, that magically fat is going to disappear from your belly. But that's not how it works, right? So every time someone just tells you to do an ab workout to burn fat around your waist, they're just fundamentally misunderstanding how our human body works. Because our body isn't burning fat around your abs from these workouts. Basically, if you're looking at it calorie wise, these 5-minute workouts do jack shit. They do almost nothing, right? So that's why you can basically spend hours on the floor every week and still see no results. Whereas if you basically are doing this every time, if you show with the same low intensity to every ab session or in life in general, you can just kind of accept that you'll never have six-pack abs. So your body, this is something you really have to understand. Your body doesn't burn fat locally, it burns it systemically. Now, basically what this leads to is that most guys still think that if they can't see their abs or have stubborn belly fat, the solution is to do more crunches or longer ab workouts, right? But the truth is, none of that will work if your body fat percentage is too high, because no amount of ab exercises will reveal your abs if you're not losing fat systemically through proper nutrition, training, and lifestyle. And I'm going to explain you exactly why these ab workouts are like absolutely trash and they won't get you six-pack abs. Now, basically, we all know this, right? So a very good way to lose your abs, to gain abs, to show your abs, is by one, starving yourself to death by being in a very, very low calorie deficit, or doing endless cardio like a stairmasters for an hour, 2 hours of cycling, these weird high intensity 45-minute workouts that no one enjoys doing, right? And you know what it is? This approach does work, right? This approach can work. You might get abs, you might get jacked, right? You might get very lean because you are in a calorie deficit, you are doing loads of cardio, but it also goes with a huge price. And I think most people forget about this, right? Now, the reality is, if you're doing this way of fat loss, if you're doing this way of gaining muscle, your hormones will crash. You will feel fatigued. You will have constant cravings. Your libido will disappear and you will feel miserable, right? Now, you might look lean, but you will end up feeling exhausted, moody, and stuck in a cycle of low energy, motivation, and frustration. And let's be fair, no one likes doing this. This is like the worst way to lose fat, to get visible abs, and chances are very high that you will just rebound from this, right? So you can adhere to this style of losing fat and gaining your muscle, let's say for a month or two, and then you are so happy that you can finally stop doing this because everyone hates Stairmaster. No one can adhere to a very strict calorie deficit. So again, you might look great, but you will end up feeling terrible, and this isn't the way you want
it to be. Now, here we are going to look at a study to further create understanding for your why, where they looked at the effect of abdominal exercises on abdominal fat, right? So if you're doing crunches, if that really helps with burning fat locally. And what the research has shown consistently in more than just one of these articles is that training a muscle group doesn't increase fat loss in that specific area, right? So your body doesn't selectively burn fat from the area you train. So it doesn't really matter. So if you have a lot of fat around your legs and you're training legs, don't expect your leg fat to disappear, right? So it means that your body mobilizes fat from all over your body based on genetics and hormones. So it is very possible that, for example, someone has more fat around their waist, around, let's say, the hamstring area or their chest area, whatever. Like where you burn fat is more genetics than it is the wrong type of workout, right? So in general, you should always just focus on losing fat systemically and never focus on losing fat locally, because that's just a myth, right? It doesn't happen, right? Now, the real key to actually having visible abs is body fat percentage, not ab workouts, right? So the key here, and this is a great example, let's zoom in, is here you can see a very good progression of whenever your abs will show up. So from 40 to 20%, don't expect to see your abs. When you enter below 20%, you can have slightly better visible abs. Now, for most people, abs are already present, right? But they are just covered by a layer of fat. Now, if you lose fat, again, if you see, it can be a matter of like 1 or 2%. So if you're 20% body fat and you lose like 2-3%, you can have visible abs, right? And then it's just a matter of shedding the last piece of body fat to having visible abs. Now, obviously, you see a difference in definition between these two guys. So there are obviously some exercises you could do, but for the biggest ROI is for you to lose body fat, right? So not doing ab crunches, because if you're just fat, you can do all the ab crunches you want, but your abs are not going to pop, right? It's like you have to take steroids or just place the steroids locally to get these abs, and then still that won't happen, right? Now, again, dropping just 1 to 2% fat can make the difference here between a flat stomach, right? Between this and having a six pack. Now, that means if you're sitting between 15 and 20 body fat as a man, you can train abs daily, but you will just never see them clearly until you lower fat systemically. Now, if you just simply optimize your body for fat loss and muscle gain, everything will change, right? So you will burn fat effortlessly by working with your body, not against it. You will basically get 4 times more results with less effort. And that is the most important thing. Like, you want to still enjoy your life instead of hating it with adhering to bullshit cardio workouts with like hours of Stairmaster, or just starving yourself to death with a very immense calorie deficit. No one likes to do that, and no one can adhere to that in the long term, right? So if you want to stay fit in the long term, you need to find out a plan that works for you. And that is something I'm going to tell you. Now, you want something which will not exhaust your body, something where you do not have to do endless cardio or some punishing routines, or sacrificing your energy and sanity to get your results, right? Because let me tell you something. I always seeing these dudes running inside the gym, right? And I have never seen someone smile when they are running inside. Like, they are just suffering, right? So if you are going for a run, at least do it outside the fucking gym. I never understood why you would run inside the gym. Regardless, don't sacrifice your sanity just to get abs. Now, And that's basically exactly what I'm going to show you, right? And what you actually want. So you want to get abs, right? You want to build muscle, but you also want to have high energy without sacrificing your life to endless dieting and punishing workouts. Because what is essentially the point of having visible abs if you're exhausted, if you're moody, if you're feeling miserable, if you have no libido? Like, there are so many bodybuilders, like, that's a real thing. There are so many bodybuilders out there which look absolutely jacked, but they can't perform, right? Their testosterone is in the gutter. Their hormones are trash. Their gut is off. Their energy is nowhere to be seen. They can't sleep properly. Their stress is high. So, what is looking lean worth if you're feeling terrible? And just to be sure, if you are tired of starting over every flipping month, every summer, every winter, right, every year, just DM me apps and I'll just walk you through exactly how I customize my system to get you in the best shape of your life, like within months, right? So now, how do you actually finally get rid of these love handles? How do you finally turn from this guy to this guy, right? Now, we basically have 6 parts here, which is important. 6 parts, just as the six pack. Now let's move on to the first app, which is understanding total daily energy expenditure. Now, if you understand this, I'm going to ensure you don't have to watch any fucking video on losing fat locally again. If you understand total daily energy expenditure, this you will benefit from this the rest of your life. Now, this is essentially the real engine behind your fat loss, right? So I'm just going to break it down for you. Now, your body inherently burns calories, right? So it is built up like your throughout the day in 24 hours. This is the total amount of energy you burn. Now, this is built up out of 4 things. First, the BMR, so the basal metabolic rate, thermic effect of food, the TEF, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and exercise activity thermogenesis. Now, the basal metabolic rate is the calories you burn doing nothing, right? So this basically means the calories your body uses to keep your brain active, to keep your lungs breathing, to keep your heart pumping, your kidneys, your liver, your gut, right? Your blood flowing. Like, BMR is basically what your body burns while you're not doing anything, right? But this is also, and here this is something you have to remember, this is also the calories your body uses to activate your muscles, right? So you can maybe understand the importance here, but this is the basic, right? So this is almost the same for everyone. Then we have the thermic effect of food, which is the calories your body burns to digest and process the food you're consuming. So this you can influence as well. Then thirdly is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. All right, and tell you, like, the basal metabolic rate, BMR, can make up like 50% of your total calories. TEF can make up between 10 and 25%, and NEAT for some people can make up between 25 and like 40% of the total daily energy expenditure. But non-exercise activity thermogenesis can be everything from walking, fidgeting, talking, thinking, like everything you're doing outside of the gym, like doing the dishes or whatever, right? Now, exercise activity thermogenesis is the calories you burn doing exercise. And this, in most cases, only at max makes up like 10% at max of your total daily energy expenditure, right? So what does this mean for you? This means that it's actually very stupid to rely on exercise for burning fat, because all the other components, which are much more easier to control, such as non-exercise activity and TEF, right, burn way more fat. Like, they burn way more calories, right? So the exercise activity thermogenesis is a lot of effort, a lot of willpower, a lot of discipline, but non-exercise activity thermogenesis or TEF, these are two things you can control very easily. So if you understand this graph, how this works, you can easily make sure you will lose fat systemically. Now, let's go to the second app. Let's go dive deep in the basal metabolic rate. Now, what I already told you is that the basal metabolic rate is built up from the different organs our body has to keep alive, right? Brain, liver, heart, kidneys, muscles, the digestion, other ones like the adrenals, the gonads, whatever, right? Fat isn't actually essentially an organ, right? One of the most essential organs. Now, what I'm basically telling you is that muscles are metabolic gold, right? Muscles are very, very expensive. So a lot of calories, a lot of energy goes towards your muscles. That's why, for example, bodybuilders, like, the Eddie Hall guys, they have to eat like 10,000 calories just to keep their body from keeping the muscles, right? But muscles are expensive, and when you are not working out, your body just wants to get rid of the muscles because they're just expensive, right? So what does this mean for you? That means that the more lean mass you carry, the more calories you will burn all day, every day, right? So you will burn these calories even while you're sleeping. Now, this is very important, right? So you want to build muscle, right? Not because working out inherently helps you burn fat. No, because muscles will help you burn calories while you sleep, right? So your basal metabolic rate, the amount of calories you burn while doing nothing, will increase, making losing fat easier outside the gym, not inside the gym, outside the gym, right? Now, let's move on to 3, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which can make up like between 25 and maybe even 50% of your total daily energy expenditure. Now, NEAT is built up from walking, fidgeting, playing with your kids, doing the dishes, gardening, cleaning, like everything which isn't working out, right? And all of these small movements add up to a huge fat loss amount, right? A huge advantage without actually needing more workouts. So a very easy way to increase NEAT, right? To basically make your life easier is to do more of these activities, right? So you have to add simple habits to your daily routine, which ensures that this will increase, because this is a way more sustainable practice of losing fat instead of doing a Stairmaster for an hour, right? So you don't need more workouts, you just need to do more non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So go for more walks, for example, right? That's essentially what I'm doing. So if you are going for 3 walks per day, 1 in the morning when you wake up, 1 after your lunch, right? So at 12, for example, and 1 walk at night after dinner, then it's very easy to at least get 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. And if you're doing that, you're already better than like 99% of other people. Now, let's go to 4. So obviously, if you want to lose fat, right, you need to be in a calorie deficit. So to make this sustainable and to make this very easy without starving yourself to death, hating your life, needing to count calories, because I do not count calories. I don't like counting calories. It is a very good way, obviously. So I have to make some nuance here. So I have been doing this for a decade now, right? So I'm very aware of the amount of calories in certain foods, right? So if you are not aware of the amount of calories in the foods you're eating, it is very good to train yourself doing this. So I suggest if you're not aware, so right, if you go to the supermarket, you get like a cookie and a fruit and you don't know what are like the calories in these things, just train yourself for 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks long, track your calories just to get an understanding of how much calories are in certain foods, and then just leave it. Because if you are a smart guy, I think you're most people watching are smart guy. They can learn this in 2 weeks if you're doing it properly. Now, if this is over with, what you should do to make it very easy to lose fat and be in a calorie deficit without actually needing to track it, because let's be fair, no one likes to track their meals, right? It's just so unnecessary. People 100 years ago did not need to do this, so we are not going to do this either. So what we're going to do is always focusing on protein focused meals, right? Because proteins will help you feel full. And I don't know if we're talking about that. No. Proteins will help you feeling full. And did you remember the TEF, the thermic effect of food? So the thermic effect of food is the highest for protein, which means that your body inherently burns the most calories processing protein. So you have two things going on there. And protein helps you feel full. It helps you maintain your muscles, and your body inherently burns more calories processing it. So it's like the best thing ever. So always make sure that every meal has a animal-based source of protein. Salmon, eggs, any sort of fish, beef, whatever, right? Like wouldn't suggest pigs. Pigs are very fat and like very low quality often, right? Chicken, turkey, whatever, right? So eating a lot of protein and combining it with fiber, so with a carrot, I'd say root vegetables are the best thing here. Combining it with fiber makes sticking to a calorie deficit like automatic. It's so flipping easy, right? So if you just focus on 2 big meals a day, right? So let's say in the morning you start off with 4 eggs, piece of meat, some vegetables, and at dinner you essentially do the same thing, then it's so easily to be in a calorie deficit, right? And you can also add some shake here, like a whole food shake, to get your protein intake high, because if you, let's say, you should aim for like 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, then you also ensure that you will keep muscles in your calorie deficit, right? Now, also just manage your sleep, manage your stress, but focusing on protein rich meals, pairing that with fiber, 2 meals a day, and a shake, it's like the easiest way to make your calorie deficit and losing fat very, very sustainable. Now, to build your muscle, right, to optimize your BMR, a thing we have to do here is to train smart. Now, obviously, if you have not ever visited the gym before, you won't have popping abs. So you have to train smart. Now, in the beginning, and even now for me as a professional, I figured out that the most effective way to build muscle, to build strength, to get popping abs is basically just 2 to 3 full body weighted calisthenics workouts, right? So coupling weighted calisthenics with bodybuilding sessions. So starting with compound movements in the beginning, think about weighted dips, weighted pull-ups, deadlifts, or like anything where you are using multiple muscles. And just in general, weighted pull-ups and weighted dips are OP. So if you cannot do that yet, try just with normal dips, normal pull-ups, but those things are absolutely overpowered for building muscle. So 2 to 3 full body weighted calisthenics or bodybuilding trainings, right? So the bodybuilding, I'm meaning they're like specific exercises like the lat pull down or bench press or things with dumbbells or cables, right? To assist in the calisthenics, because calisthenics in general gives you a way more a full body definition, a more natural, lean, functional physique, right? And then pair that with short, high intensity days, because high intensity will turbocharge your fat loss and supercharge your muscle growth. Because high intensity training is like this, like, and I'm just referencing to either doing a fight sport, so boxing, MMA, or sprints, because these two things are like a very, like the the primal animal brain in our body is getting activated by this, right? So when you're fighting, your body just knows apparently it's a competition, right? So it's a competition, and this just activates like this animal brain in us, and that significantly boosts the anabolic response, which is important for building muscle, shedding fat, and just feeling strong as a man. And the same goes with sprint training. So when you're doing sprints, that just doubles the output of growth hormone, muscle protein synthesis, which makes it very, very, very much easier to build muscle, to get higher testosterone afterwards, right? So pairing full body trainings with high intensity and specifically sprints or fight sports is the easiest way to get a lean physique with popping abs. So don't do endless cardio. It's just unnecessary stress, right? Like you can do cardio if you are focusing on heart health, cardiovascular health, but even then I just suggest that high intensity or boxing does the same thing, and it's even better. Now, lastly, what you can do, because obviously you do have to train abs sometimes, but it just doesn't have to translate into these hour-long ab workouts or this 5-minute low intensity bullshit stuff. That just doesn't work, right? So what you can do to make this easy and to still get popping abs is what I always do at the end of my full body workouts, is just 2 to 3 sets of hanging leg raises or knee raises to just per session, right? Preferably to failure. So 2 to 3 sets of knee raises or leg raises to failure, or in general, like what I'm doing is like 25 knee raises or like 12 leg raises, right? And that will just help you get popping abs once your body fat is low enough. So don't do like these 1,000 crunches. Now, what you need to understand if you're doing this, then it's like very easy to get this six-pack ab. But there's one thing which is sometimes the missing link in all of this, and I won't go into too much detail here in this specific video, but that is essentially, which is like the star, right? This can supercharge all of this even more, but this essentially the gut health, liver health, and brain health. Now, your gut is essentially the entrance for your nutrients, right? So your body needs nutrients to build muscle, to build testosterone, to provide you with energy, right? To assist in fat loss. But if your gut health is off, right, your liver is congested, and when your liver is congested, the production of hormones will be limited, right? So your liver is important for detoxing toxins, from removing estrogen, and estrogen is the female hormone we do it in our body, but like when it's too much, it will affect the expression of our testosterone. And when our testosterone is higher, it will help with getting stronger bones, more muscles, clearer skin. Your brain health is going to be better. You'll just feel way stronger. So optimizing all of these hormones and the organs is very important and can be the last piece of the puzzle in building six-pack abs. But I won't go into too much depth here. So what you want to prevent, right, and what you want to imagine here is that your fitness journey as it is like a ping pong ball, right? So right now, you're basically bouncing back and forth between bursts of motivation and periods of guilt. So I have been seeing this in so many people and some clients as well, is that they start, right? So they are motivated. Happy New Year, 1st of January. This year is going to be my year. This summer I'm going to have visible abs. But what then ends up happening, they are then giving themselves a starvation diet, doing endless cardio. They burn themselves out. So this bounces back. So they getting hit back in the face because they essentially cannot adhere to this stuff, right? So what happens then? Their self-esteem plummets each time you fall off. Your metabolism will slow down with every extreme cut, because what happens when you're not focusing on a proper diet, when you're losing an hour in an extreme cut, is that you're losing muscle, right? And what I've teach you right here is that muscles are very metabolically expensive. So when you are losing muscles, guess what also is decreasing? Your basal metabolic rate. And what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that your metabolism slows down with every cut, but it just means that your body inherently burns less calories. And it also means that if you're, let's say, before the cut, you are consuming 2,500 calories, right? And this helps you, let's say, maintain your weight. But now you're doing this extreme cut, you're losing a lot of muscle because your diet isn't properly, you're just doing it too extreme, so you're losing muscle. Now your metabolism is going down, right? So your body inherently burns less calories because it has lost muscles. Now, suppose your body burns 200 calories less because the loss of the muscles. The same diet now leads to you gaining fat instead of maintaining it, right? So this gives the illusion, which some people always confuse with, is that if you're losing fat, that afterwards it's very easier for you to gain it back. But that's just because they haven't dialed in their diet and they're now losing the muscle, right? And most people, they just waste months and years stuck in this start-stop cycles. And worst of all, you're basically teaching yourself and convincing yourself that you cannot stick with this. I have basically seen this so many times that people bounce back and forth between this, right? They start a diet, and then they're just focusing on the diet. They are losing the fat, but then they stop the diet, they gain it all back. They are then ashamed of it, right? And then when matters get too worse, like they're summer nears and they are ashamed that they have to remove the shirt at the pool and they're not really secure about their body, then they're doing a extreme cut again. And this is basically a constant loop, right? Of shame, starting over, and doing it for a month, then failing, and then feeling shit about it. And this loop continues until people just give up and remain fat, getting sick, and never get these abs before. Now, there is obviously a way better way of doing it. And the only thing you had to do, what you have to know here is that what if you just never had to pick yourself up again? What if you just never have to fall off again? What if you can have a plan which is so simple and sustainable, which is built into your daily life, where motivation will just become irrelevant because you don't really have to rely on it anymore, right? I am not relying on my motivation because motivation is an emotion, and emotions, they are basically tricking you. Your brain is tricking you, right? So what you want is that getting lean and staying lean becomes very, very effortless, right? And this will happen when you create a system that will work with your life, not against it. Now, how you can actually do this, and I say just screenshot this thing, this is the basics, right? Is one, go to 2 to 3 walks per day, aiming for 10,000 steps total, which boosts your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So you will burn fat loss on autopilot, but also just making fat loss more enjoyable. It also helps reducing stress hormones, create mental clarity. Walking in general is such a hack, and if you also do it straight after waking up, it will help you reset your circadian rhythm, boost testosterone, just in general make your life more enjoyable. Go for 2 structured, simple, sustainable meals. So I would suggest, if you really want to get six-pack abs and lose that fat, go for 2 main meals per day. So the biggest meal at lunch and a smaller dinner, right? So this optimizes for fat loss. It's alignment with your circadian rhythm, right? And if you do it even better, is optionally skip the breakfast and add 1 to 2 protein shakes daily to ensure that you will keep the muscles, right? And for the protein shakes, make sure you get like whey protein, goat whey protein, collagen with no additives, no sugar, no flavorings, no additives. Just that's pretty flipping easy. That's 2. And 3, go for minimal effective ab trainings, right? And combine obviously with what we discussed earlier, but like 2 sets to failure of knee raise or hanging leg raises at the end of full body training is how you will get six-pack abs on autopilot. And then obviously some bonus is to optimize your hormones, right? Your testosterone and your gut health, so your body can actually use everything as effectively as possible. Because sometimes people are consuming, let's say, a steak, but when their gut is leaky, their body isn't absorbing the nutrients, right? So you're essentially just making very expensive poop. So if you are doing this, right? If you are dialing in everything, you're focusing on your walking, on the effective workouts, the testosterone, your gut health. Like you are finally understanding that you should not be doing these shitty exercises, then, and you are finally ready to break this cycle once and for all, to finally get six pack abs without hating your life, right? And also feeling amazing, just DM me apps or click the link in my bio to book your free strategy call. Like, because in just 30 minutes, I will just help you pinpoint exactly why your abs haven't been showing up, or why you essentially are hating your life in the current phase of yo-yoing between fat loss and gaining it back again. I will show you a sustainable way of doing it, optimizing your energy, optimizing your focus, getting lean in the process, and just enjoying your life without doing endless cardio or some starvation diet, right? So stop wasting years in this ping pong trap. Just get lean, strong, and confident for life, right? So the sooner you start, this is something I really want to explain to you. The sooner you start, the faster you'll stop this endless yo-yo effect, right? And start seeing consistent results that actually stick. Because no one likes this yo-yo effect, and the longer you stay in that yo-yo effect, the bigger the chance is that you are going to convince yourself that it's just not for you, that you have bad genetics, it's too hard. No, it's not too hard. You just miss the system to make it work, to make it simple, to make it sustainable. So every day you wait is another day of you repeating the same mistakes. So don't let tomorrow, don't let next month, don't let next year be another false start, right? So on that note, I hope you are going to implement this stuff, and I'll see you on the other side. Ciao.